if the American nation were to retreat from the Middle East, it does not mean the American military goes away. All it means is the American military will now become absorbed into the nation state of Israel, making Israel the de facto hegemon of the Middle East. Okay, that's the long-term play of Israel.
All right, so Trump is in a rare state of being flustered, like he's almost caught off guard about what happened last night, where he thought there was a ceasefire. Then Israel comes out and snakes him, starts bombing Iran right after they say they're agreeing to a ceasefire. Iran starts bombing Israel. I guess Trump didn't know that Netanyahu's a snake. I'm gonna show you this video quick. I'm gonna show you something that you definitely have never seen before. This college professor has been going viral the past few weeks because of stuff he's been saying about this for the past several years. That's all coming true now, and I guarantee you have not heard this.
But reports coming from the region suggest that the sides accuse each other for violating the ceasefire. So
I think they both violated it. I don't think I'm not sure they did it intentionally. They couldn't rein people back. I don't like the fact that Israel went out this morning at all, and I'm going to see if I can stop it. So as soon as I get away from you, I'm going to see if I can stop it, okay? I think it's been completely demolished. I think the reason we're here is because those pilots, those B-2 pilots, did an unbelievable job. And, you know, the fake news, like CNN in particular, they're trying to say, well, I agree that it was destroyed, but maybe not that destroyed. You know what they're doing? They're really hurting great pilots that put their lives in the line. CNN is scum, and so is MSDNC. They're all, and frankly, the networks aren't much better. It's all fake news, but they should not have done that. Those pilots hit their targets. Those targets were obliterated, and the pilots should be given credit. They're not after the pilots, they're after me. They want to try and demean.
Do you believe that Iran can rebuild its nuclear program?
Iran will never rebuild its nuclear. From there? Absolutely not. That place is under rock. That place is demolished.
I still can't believe he's acknowledging that this was a real. I mean, I guess he has to at this point, but like, let the record be clear: there were never freaking nukes in Iran. Okay.
B-2 pilots did their job. They did it better than anybody could even imagine. They hit late in the evening. It was dark with no moon, and they hit that target with every one of those things, and that place is gone. But when I see CNN all night long, they're trying to say, well, maybe it wasn't really as demolished as we thought. It was demolished. You take a look at the pinpricks, and you see that place is gone. And I will say, I think CNN ought to apologize to the pilots of the B-2s. I think that MSDNC ought to apologize. I think these guys really, these networks and these cable networks are real losers. You really are. You're real losers. You're gutless losers. I say that to CNN because I watch it. I have no choice. I got to watch that garbage. It's all garbage. It's all fake news. But I think CNN is a gutless group of people. And the people that run it, nobody even knows it's been sold so many times. But the people that run it ought to be ashamed. MSDNC, a guy named Brian Roberts, he heads it. He's a disgrace. He's a weak, pathetic disgrace. Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Are you questioning if Israel is
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I've never seen before.
Now,
the biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
Oh, what? I thought Israel's our friend, Trump. What are you talking about? Isn't Israel our friend? Mark Levin? What happened? What, Fox News? I thought that we have the exact same interests as Israel. No, I think Israel actually badly wants us to put ground troops into Iran. And here, and I'm going to show you why. Now, this is a take that nobody has, but sounds very accurate with what's playing out right now.
The Israelis and the Americans seem to be allies in this war. But the reality is the Americans and the Israelis have divergent interests. America is the global hegemon. Therefore, it wants to be able to balance forces in the Middle East. Yes, it supports Israel right now, but if Israel were to become too powerful over time, then the Americans would start to back Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Egypt. Okay, the Americans must maintain balance of power in the Middle East. The Israelis, on the other hand, want to be the dominant hegemon in the Middle East. There's something called the Greater Israel Project that, among certain circles in Israel, is an extremely influential idea. Okay, and the idea is very simple. They believe that in the Bible, Yahweh, their God, gave the promised land to Abraham. That's a covenant. The promised land, though, extends from the Nile to the Euphrates. That basically the entire Middle East is supposed to be what Yahweh promised Abraham. And there's a fanatical faction within the Israeli government that seeks to accomplish the promised land. And of course, if that were the case, then the main adversaries to this project would not be the Iranians or the Saudis. It would actually be the Americans, okay? Because to accomplish the Greater Israel Project, then Israel needs to remove America from the Middle East. So how can Israel do this? Well, let's just say, just hypothetically speaking, the Americans were to invade Iran with ground troops, and they're stuck there for years and years, and they get nowhere. Now the American empire collapses. The American people revolt against the invasion of Iran. They refuse to serve. They burn their draft cards, as they did in Vietnam. There's civil chaos. There's an emerging civil war in America. And now the American military is forced to retreat from the Middle East. What would happen in that situation? Well, the moment that the American empire dies, the empire of Israel is born. Why? Because controlling the Middle East, the American military controlling the Middle East, is called CENTCOM, Central Command. They have bases, they have weapons, they have soldiers. If the American nation were to retreat from the Middle East, it does not mean the American military goes away. All it means is the American military will now become absorbed into the nation state of Israel, making Israel the de facto hegemon of the Middle East. Okay, that's the long-term play of Israel. It does Israel absolutely no good to defeat Iran. They need to both defeat Iran and America. The best way to do that is to entangle both into a war that will destroy the militaries of both nations. Okay, that's the optimal strategy for Israel, and that requires the Israelis to persuade the Americans to use ground troops to invade Iran. Okay, that's the Israel case study.
So what we're seeing right now makes no sense unless this is the case, unless Israel wants to destroy both America and Iran. Like, why would you start bombing the place 1 hour after a ceasefire is agreed upon, after you destroy the so-called nukes that you've been clamoring about that are the only thing you claim to be worried about? So, this in addition to Bibi Netanyahu's legal troubles, I think is like the entire basis for Israel's foreign policy over the last 3 years. Like, I personally think that October 7th was a false flag, that he allowed it to happen because he was seeing the biggest protests in the history of Israel, like 500,000 people in the streets trying to get him out of office because he was overhauling the judicial system. And then suddenly these dudes who live in caves are able to penetrate the most secure land in the entire world. No, I don't buy that. And then for the first time in Israel's history, the prime minister is being cross-examined earlier this month on June 3rd. So the walls are closing in on him with this legal case. And then suddenly, oh, it's time to take care of this nuclear thing with Iran. Yeah, Iran's going to have a nuclear weapon within a month. We have to bomb them. Trump, please help. Trump, please. And Trump goes ahead and does that. This flawless mission that might have been for nothing because there might not even been nukes there. We get it done. There's a ceasefire agreed upon. Everything's great yesterday. And then you just bomb the shit out of Iran again. Makes sense of that. Like, I'm with this guy. This seems like the most logical argument based off of what's happening right now. Tell me what you think. And by the way, I'm able to know stuff like this because of the elite group that we have called BT Research in my next circle. So check out this link right here. This QR code, links in the description as well, also pinned in the comment section. Thank you for watching. Much love.